Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the second episode in our series, Divine Messages, a journey through the Qur'an. Let's see what today's divine message has in store for us. Life has a tendency to throw curveballs at us. When everything seems perfect with your family, a child falls ill. Just when you thought your finances were all in order with a great savings plan, you get laid off. You're driving your usual route home. When a distracted driver rear-ends your new car, your elderly parents become frail and more in need of your help. You get denied that promotion you worked very hard for and were so looking forward to. The stock market crashes, your investments crumble before your eyes. You have a special needs child who requires much more of your time and energy than you're used to. You discover a friend has been spreading rumors about you. The coronavirus pandemic forces you to reconfigure your entire lifestyle. Unexpectedly, a close member of your family passes away. Trials and tribulations are expected as we go through life. Allah tells us in the Qur'an, "Do people think once they say we believe that they will be left without being put to the test?" It's part and parcel of life that we're going to be tested. And time and again, we see examples of prophets and others being tested and how they responded to those tests. Prophet Ayub suffered a very severe and terrible illness for many years, to the extent that even the closest of his family left him and no one was with him. What does Allah say about his response? "We truly found him patient. What an excellent servant he was. Indeed, he constantly turned to Allah." Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, lost his uncle and wife, both in the same year. And they were his staunchest allies and protectors during the early years of the message. And while that year was referred to as the year of sorrow, given the magnitude of his loss and suffering, Prophet Muhammad endured patiently and continued to carry out his mission. Now we have a very interesting and amazing example of patience and endurance. A companion of the Prophet, peace be upon him, by the name of Urwa ibn Zubayr, was informed that because of an infection in one of his legs, it would have to be amputated. Otherwise, the infection would spread to the rest of his body. Now, keep in mind, there's no anesthesia, there are no painkillers. He would just have to endure the procedure. So he accepted patiently, and he underwent the procedure, and they amputated his leg. Now, this man is sitting here recovering, and while he's recovering in pain, he gets news that one of his sons suddenly died in an accident. Imagine a man in this frail position, sitting there recovering from this procedure in pain, and now his pain is compounded by misery and agony because one of his sons suddenly passed away. How would one of us respond to this kind of news? Let's look at his response. He turned to Allah in supplication and he said, "O Allah, I had 4 limbs and you took away 1, but you left 3, so all praise and thanks are due to you. And I had 4 sons and you took away 1, but left me with 3, so all praise and thanks are due to you. If you took from me, you have left me more than you have taken away from me, so all praise and thanks are due to you." Imagine that. Amazing. Amazing response to such calamity and such misery, such patience and perseverance. But beyond patience in the face of calamity and misery, there's also the patient perseverance and persistence in the obedience of Allah and the avoidance of His displeasure. In this regard, Allah speaks about the righteous and their reward in the hereafter when He says, "It is they who will be rewarded with elevated mansions in paradise for their perseverance, and will be received with salutations and greetings of peace." And for patiently resisting sin and its temptations, we all remember the story of Prophet Yusuf, peace be upon him, when he was a young man and the wife of the minister in whose home he was being raised tempted him and she tried to seduce him. Now, this is a woman of wealth, of power, of beauty. Very difficult to resist, and this is a young man. And yet he resisted, and he turned to Allah. And he turned to Allah and said what? Allah is my refuge. It is not right to betray my master who has taken good care of me. Indeed, the wrongdoers never succeed. But his resistance to the temptation was met with her fury and her anger. And she continued to blame him. And she actually claimed that he was the one who tried to attack her. And in spite of the fact that the evidence was clear that he was innocent and she was in the wrong, because she was powerful and she was in a position of wealth and power, she was simply chastised. And Yusuf, peace be upon him, continued to proclaim his innocence. So she conspired. She conspired and she had him thrown in jail. And in spite of all of this, what does Yusuf, peace be upon him, say? He said, "My Lord, I would rather be in jail than do what they invite me to do. And if you don't turn their cunning, meaning their planning and their conspiring, away from me, I might yield to them and fall into ignorance." That was the kind of patience that Yusuf, peace be upon him, had and exhibited in resisting evil and its temptations. So our divine message today enjoins steadfast patience and perseverance in the face of calamity and difficulty, which are inevitable. They are part of life. We've all faced some sort of difficulty and calamity. But it also directs us to patiently persevere in our submission and obedience to Allah, while diligently striving to avoid everything that displeases Him. Today's divine message, وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ, give glad tidings to those who are patient.